Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Srimad Paramahansa Parivrajakatarya Shotara Satar Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Srimad Paramahansa Parivrajakatarya Shotara Satar Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22, text number 37. Sharira Manasa Divya. Sharira Manasa Divya. Sharira Manasa Divya. Vayyase ye cha manushaha. Vayyase ye cha manushaha. Vayyase ye cha manushaha. Bhautikaha cha katham klesha. Bhautikasa katham klesha. Bhautikasa katham klesha. Badhante hari samshayam. Badhante hari samshayam. Badhante hari samshayam. Sharira manasa divya. Vayyase ye cha manushaha. Bhautikasa katham klesha. Badhante hari samshayam. Sharira manasa divya. Vayyase ye cha manushaha. Bhautikasa katham klesha. Badhante hari samshayam. Sharira manasa divya. Vayyase ye cha manushaha. Bhautikasa katham klesha. Badhante hari samshayam. Nobody else? Shariraha, pertaining to the body. Manasaha, pertaining to the mind. Devyaha, pertaining to supernatural powers. Demigods. Vayyase, O Vidura. Ye, those. Cha, and. Manushaha, pertaining to other men. Bhautikaha, pertaining to other living beings. Cha, and. Kadham, how. Kleshaha, miseries. Badhante, can trouble. Harisamshayam, one who has taken shelter of Lord Krishna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, O Vidura, how can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna in devotional service be put into miseries pertaining to the body, the mind, nature, and other men and living creatures? Kindly repeat. Therefore, O Vidura, how can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna in devotional service be put into miseries pertaining to the body, the mind, nature, and other men and living creatures? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Every living entity within this material world is always afflicted by some kind of miseries pertaining either to the body, the mind, or natural disturbances. Distresses due to cold in winter and severe heat in summer always inflict miseries on the living entities in this material world. But one who has completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in Krishna consciousness is in the transcendental stage. He is not disturbed by any miseries, either due to the body, the mind, or natural disturbances of summer and winter. He is transcendental to all these miseries. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. We'll also read text 38 and 39. Both of them do not have purport, and they mark the end of this chapter. So we'll read these two verses also. Yaha prishto manivihi praha dharma nana vidhan chuban nirnam varnashramanam cha sarva bhuta hitas sada. Translation. In reply to questions asked by certain sages, he, Swayambhuva Manu, out of compassion for all living entities, taught the diverse sacred duties of men in general and the different varnas and ashramas. Text 39. Etatta adirajasya manosaritam adbhutam varnitam varnaniyasya tadapatyodayam shunu. Translation. I have spoken to you of the wonderful character of Swayambhuva Manu, the original king, whose reputation is worthy of description. Please hear as I speak of the flourishing of his daughter Devahuti. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 22nd chapter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Marriage of Kardamani and Devahuti. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasatya Desatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. So the life and activities of Swayambhuva Manu, the description of the life and activities of Swayambhuva Manu is brought to an end with these few verses. We have seen in the previous verses how Swayambhuva Manu was always absorbed in carrying out various sacrifices for pleasing the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and he was constantly, morning, evening, hearing about the glorious transcendental pastimes and qualities of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And so like this, he spent his duration, long duration of life of 71 yugas, a very long duration of life. And because of this, although he spent such a long duration of life, his intelligence, the strength of his senses, none of these things faded. He continued to remain active till the very end of his lifespan. So, here Maitreya Rishi is concluding this whole narration of the pastime of the marriage of Kardamani and Devahuti is being described by Maitreya Rishi to Vidura. And therefore, Maitreya Rishi is concluding here that Vagyase, O son of Vyasadeva, he is referring to Vidura, because Vidura was born to the maid servant in the palace of the Kauravas to Vyasadeva. And Vagyase, he is referring to, he is calling, Maitreya Rishi is calling Vidura, that O son of Vyasadeva. Yecha manushaha bhautikaha cha sharira manasa divya klesha katham badhante harisamshrayam. So harisamshrayam, those who have taken shelter of Hari, he is questioning, Maitreya Rishi is questioning, how can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna in devotional service be put to miseries pertaining to the body, sharira, pertaining to the mind, manasa, divya, nature, and bhautikaha, other men and living creatures, kleshaha. So these are all miseries which are inflicted upon all living entities, and all the miseries that the living entities have to undergo can be classified into one of these three categories. Adhyatmika klesha, where one has to suffer on account of one's own body or mind. Atma can refer to the body, Atma can refer to the mind. So when we say Adhyatmika klesha, it refers to klesha or miseries inflicted upon us by our own body and mind. Our body gives us misery in various types. Sometimes we fall sick, we get some viral fever, or we get COVID, or we get some other disease. Then the body becomes racked in pain, and the taste of the food goes away. Anything you put on the tongue, it tastes bitter. Nothing appeals to us. Whenever the body faces some disease, then our whole appreciation of sense gratification goes away. And also when we get old, the body no longer cooperates with us. We have to face so many problems, neurological problems. We have to face so many diseases. Like nowadays it's very common, as people cross 30-35 years, they get diabetes, then there is hypertension, there is too much cholesterol building up, the arteries are getting clogged, and then slowly joint pain starts, rheumatism, arthritis. Then as the age progresses, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, so many diseases keep influencing one. And mind also gives problem. Sometimes our mood is not good. We undergo depression. There are, as Kali Yuga is progressing, more and more people are getting diagnosed with mental illnesses. And science is also trying to catch up quickly with all these mental illnesses and how to cure them and what kind of medicines to be given, etc. Mind also gives problem to us. So, Adhyatmika klesha, and if my mind and body are in good condition and I am not facing any problem on account of them, then there is Adhibhautika klesha. Other living entities give us problem. Just like there were two countries, Ukraine and Russia. So many years they were living as neighbors. Suddenly one fine day something erupted between both of them, and there is war now going on between them. So how did this war come about? War came about because because of two individuals. They decided, let us go to war. And now because of the decision of two individuals, So many millions of people are having to suffer. They have to leave their country, they have to die, they get maimed, all their property gets destroyed, whatever they had built up, everything is gone in a matter of few seconds. So, although my body and mind may be okay, but there are other people who are ready to give me trouble. Not only on the national scale, even at the individual level, we can see how sometimes some people become inimical towards us. Somebody's ego gets hurt and he becomes upset with us, and then he will start taking revenge against us. All these kind of things are very common in the material world. Of course, in a devotee's life, we don't see much of these things, but outside world, if you go, it's filled with this. You look at politics also. One party is there, one ruling party is there. Now the other party, which is in the opposition, is not satisfied. Somehow or the other, they manage to take away a few MLAs, and then the whole government falls. And then they form their own government. So all this Adibhautika Klesha, one man becomes envious of another man for no reason. Oh, you are progressing, you have become chief minister, I cannot tolerate. I have to bring you down. So this is natural in this material world. Envy, false ego, because of which people become inimical towards one another. And because of that, people start inflicting pain upon others. So this is Adibhautika Klesha. And then there is Adidaivika Klesha. Okay, nobody is inimical towards me, everybody is friendly with me, my body is okay, my mind is okay, everything is nice. Suddenly, there will be a downpour of rain and whole city will be flooded. And then what will you do? Power is cut off, you don't have access to proper drinking water, you have to struggle to get your food. And if either there is a flood or there is a drought, or there is excessive heat during summer, excessive cold during winter. So due to the effects of material nature, there are miseries that we have to face. So constantly one or more of these three, Adibhautika, Adidaivika and Adhyatmika Klesha, are constantly troubling the individual. Every living entity is being troubled by these three things. Now the thing is that why we have to be subjected to this kind of trouble? This is because according to the different activities I have done in the past, under the impression that I am this body, that creates reactions for me, because of which I have to suffer or I have to enjoy. According to the Papa Karma, according to the sinful activities that I have done, the miseries that I have to undergo are fixed, and according to that, the Adhyatmika, Adidaivika and Adibhautika Kleshas become instrumental in giving us, inflicting thus that distress upon us which we have earned for ourselves. It's not the fault of the body, it's not the fault of the mind, it's not the fault of material nature, it's not the fault of others, although it may look like that. Oh, this man has become envious of me and he is creating trouble for me. Actual reality is, some lifetime I have done the same thing to that person. Now it is coming back to me. For whatever distress I have to undergo for the sinful activity I have done in my past life, that person becomes an instrument for me to receive that misery. That's all. If he were not to give me that misery, it would still come through somebody else. So, reality is all these miseries are inflicted upon me on account of my own doing. My own sinful activities are causing these reactions. And why do my activities cause reaction? Because I am working under the impression, under the conviction, under the strong conviction that I am this body. As long as we work in the bodily concept of life, we will be forced to undergo the reactions of our works. So when we are under the bodily concept of life, we think that I am the doer, and because I am doing this, I have caused the result. The result has come about because I did this. If I did not do it, it would not have come about. You see, you go to so many Shri Krishna Balaram. Whenever the NEET exams or the CET exams or any of the entrance exams, GATE exams are announced, or the plus 2 results are announced, 10th standard results are announced, there will be some people who get a medal, who stand first. Immediately the media will go to them and ask them, how did you manage to get the first rank? Oh, I did a lot of hard work, and because of the guidance of my teachers and my parents and all the hard work that I did, I managed to get this. This is the thinking of the people in the bodily concept of life. In ignorance, they are thinking, I did this, therefore this result has come. This result has come because I put in the effort. If I did not do the hard work, the result would not have come. So they think that I am the doer, and because I have done this, therefore the result has come. And because I did, and because of my doing, result has come, therefore the result is for my enjoyment. So the person enjoys, see, I've got the first rank, media is coming, everybody is glorifying. Yes, I really deserve this. So the people become attached to the fruits of their activities. In reality, what is the actual thing happening? Every activity I am doing is being impelled. I am being impelled to act helplessly by the 3 modes of material nature. I think that I am having freedom to do what I want. And because I have freedom to do what I want, I will do what I like to do. Now, are you in control of what you like and what you dislike? You have no control over what you like and what you dislike. Somebody else is deciding what you will like and what you will not like. Who is that who is deciding? It is the 3 modes of material nature. Satoguna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. These 3 gunas, the influence of these 3 gunas force me to like something, force me to dislike something, and force me to think in a particular way, and force me to act in a particular way. We can see in the Bhagavad-gita, in the 15, 16, 17 chapters, how Krishna talks about how the 3 modes of material nature influence what kind of food I like to eat, how much I like to sleep, what kind of activities I would like to do. Practically everything that a person likes to do or dislikes is determined by the 3 modes of material nature. But we foolishly think that I like to do this, therefore I am doing. This is freedom. See how it is. This is called the illusion, Maya, illusion created by material nature. And so strongly under the influence of the bodily concept, because I think I am this body, therefore whatever the body is desiring, I think it is my desire. I identify myself with the body's desires. And therefore, whatever activity is done with that sense of doership and causing of the result, and that the result rightfully belongs to me for my enjoyment, creates further reactions which I have to enjoy or suffer according to whether I am doing sinful activity or pious activity. So, in the case of a devotee of Krishna, like in the case of Swayambhuva Manu, every activity that is done under what consciousness? Not under the consciousness that I am this body, but under the consciousness that I am the servant of Krishna. When a person engages in the same activity, same eating, same sleeping, same defending, same mating, a person does in the consciousness, not that I am the body, but I am a servant of Krishna, and therefore I am doing this activity as an offering of pleasure to Krishna. Then what happens? The person becomes free from the reactions of those activities. Therefore, Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita that Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Mayametam Tarantite. Krishna says that Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya. Krishna's material energy, Mama Maya. Krishna says my energy. Krishna's energy, material energy. Which energy? Maya. Maya energy, material energy is Daivi, is divine, because it is Krishna's own energy. And because it is divine, Not only is it divine, it is characterized by Gunamayi. It is filled with the influence of the three modes of material nature. This is the characteristic of Krishna's Maya energy. Krishna's inferior material energy. Krishna's superior spiritual energy is characterized by the absence of the influence of the three modes of material nature. Therefore, Krishna is very specifically he is mentioning, he is characterizing, he is qualifying his material energy by saying, Gunamayi Mama Maya. And because it is Daivi, because it is Krishna's own energy, it is Duratyaya. It is impossible to cross over the energy of Krishna by our own endeavor. Although I may be very intelligent, I may be very learned in the Shastras, Vedas, I may be a very great Jnani, I may be a great yogi, but despite all this, I am always under the subjugation of the material energy of Krishna. A Jnani may go up to the point of liberation, but still he is not completely out of the control of the Maya energy of Krishna. This is the material. This is actually the constitutional position of the Jiva. It is not the fault of the Jnani or the Yogi. It is the constitutional position of the Jiva to be under the control of one of the energies of Krishna. Either the Maya energy of Krishna or the spiritual energy, the Yoga Maya energy of Krishna. The constitutional nature of the soul is to be under the influence of one of these. It can never become free, it can never become independent of the control of one of these two energies of Krishna. So as long as one is in the bodily concept of life, even though one may rise above the bodily concept of life, one will still be under the control of the material energy of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says, Duratyaya, it is impossible to cross over Krishna's material energy. So, are we condemned to be always under the influence of the material energy of Krishna? No, Krishna says, Mameva ye prapadyante, mayametam tarantite. This Maya, this material energy of Krishna can be tarantite, can be crossed over by one specific set of people. Who can cross over? Mam eva ye prapadyante. Krishna says, Mam ye prapadyante. Those who surrender to Krishna, they can cross over. So, we can ask a question, okay, I understand that devotees of Krishna, they are surrendered to Krishna, they can cross over the material energy because the energy of Krishna is subordinate to Krishna. Therefore, if I surrender to Krishna, Krishna can help me cross over his own energy. But there must be others also for whom it must be possible to cross over the influence of the Maya energy of Krishna. So Krishna says, not possible. How Krishna says it is not possible? Because Krishna says, Mam eva ye prapadyante. Eva, the use of the word eva means only to those people who surrender unto me, it is possible to cross over the control of material nature. That means, if we surrender unto anybody else, we surrender unto Brahman, we surrender unto any of the Devatas, we surrender unto any of the rulers in this material world, none of them can help us to cross over the influence of material nature. In fact, all the Devatas themselves are under the control of material nature. How can they help us to cross over material nature? It's not possible. So even if one surrenders to the Brahman, the impersonal aspect of Krishna, even then one cannot cross over. Krishna says, Mameva ye prapadyante. Only to those people who surrender to the personality of Krishna, only they can actually cross over permanently the influence of the three modes of material nature, the influence of the material energy of Krishna. So, if those people who want to cross over the control of the material energy of Krishna have to necessarily, it is not a matter of choice that this is option 1 to surrender to Krishna. There are option 2, 3, 4 other options also. You can take up the path of jnana, you can take up the path of yoga, yatha mat tato pat, whichever path you're taking and cross over. No, only one. There is only one way to cross over material nature, which is that Mameva ye prapadyante. Only to those people who surrender to Krishna and render devotional service to him, only those people can cross over. So once one has crossed over the influence of material nature, then how can Adhyatmika, Adidaivika and Adibhautika Klesha have its influence upon the surrendered devotees of Krishna? It is not possible, as it is being described in the case of Swayambhu Manu here. Of course, when we speak of miseries, what we have to understand is, the Bhagavatam also says that the miseries of this material world are actually superficial. Superficial means the influence of Adhyatmika, Adibhautika and Adidaivika Klesha is only limited to the body and to the mind, the gross body and the subtle body. It actually has no influence on the jiva. Because we are currently identifying ourselves with the body, whenever the body gets affected by one of these three miseries, we think, oh, I am affected by the miseries. When one surrenders unto Krishna, and when one gets transferred to the control of the internal energy of Krishna, one is no longer identifying with the body. And when one no longer identifies with the body, any Adhyatmika, Adidaivika, Adibhautika Klesha, which is giving distress to the body, does not affect me. Miseries, because the material world and material nature will continue to act. It will continue to act the way it is designed to. It will continue giving. See, the point is that if I become a devotee of Krishna, it is not that entire Chennai is suffering from flood, but 2 feet by 2 feet square feet where I am standing, there will be no water. It's not like that. I will also be in the same flooded situation only. Or if I am standing in the Thar desert in the summer, 50-55 degrees centigrade, where I am standing, this one small capsule will be created where I will be at 25 degrees centigrade. No. I will also be under the same 55 degrees centigrade only. But the point is that influence of the heat or the cold, excessive heat or excessive cold or any other kind of distress is upon the body, is upon the material mind. It is not upon me. Therefore, a devotee becomes undisturbed by the influence of the three modes of material nature, by whatever the effect is there of Adhyatmika, Adibhautika and Adidevika Klesha. That's why here Prabhupada is saying in the purport, one who has completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in Krishna consciousness is in the transcendental stage. He is not disturbed by any miseries, either due to the body, the mind, or natural disturbances of summer and winter. He is transcendental to all these miseries. It is not that miseries will magically stop in our life. No. Miseries will continue because we are in the material world right now. And we are inside, we are occupying a material body. So the interactions of the material body with material nature will continue. Material nature will continue its work of giving distress to the body. But because we are situated in Krishna consciousness, we will not be disturbed by those miseries. How a devotee is not disturbed by the miseries? Because the devotee knows that Krishna is in control. So therefore, if this misery is being inflicted upon me, Krishna has some plan. Krishna wants to teach me some lesson. This is Krishna's mercy upon me. And so the devotee is unaffected by the miseries. There have been examples, great examples of great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, the Pandavas, who all remain unaffected. Although they were in the midst of all kinds of miseries, they remained completely aloof from the miseries inflicted upon their body and mind, simply by remembering the lotus feet of Krishna. So, this process of devotional service of Krishna, beginning with Shravanam and Kirtanam, beginning with hearing and chanting the holy name of Krishna and the pastimes and the qualities of Krishna, is so powerful. It can immediately help us transcend the influence, the disturbance of the three modes of material nature. So, even in the case of devotees, whenever we feel disturbed on account of these three kinds of miseries, we have to understand it is because of my lack of sufficient advancement in devotional service. It is due to lack of my sufficient dependence on Krishna. The more we are convinced, the more my faith in Krishna as my protector and maintainer increases, the lesser the influence of these miseries upon me. So, if at all we become disturbed whenever these kind of miseries are inflicted upon us, then the solution is simply sit and chant Hare Krishna more seriously, more intensely, read Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gita. You will immediately see we will come across some instruction of Prabhupada which will give us great relief and which will help us to settle down our disturbance. So this is the wonderful gift given to us by Srila Prabhupada, that in a devotee's life from the very beginning, the process of devotional service is such that from the very beginning, the moment we start chanting Hare Krishna mantra, from that very moment we transcend the three modes of material nature. So this process is completely spiritual. We have to simply be patient in the execution of our devotional service, and we have to have firm conviction and faith about the foolproof nature of this process of devotional service. And as long as we continue steadfastly executing the principles of devotional service, gradually with time, our ability to withstand the influence of the miseries of material nature, our resilience will increase as time goes by. So these are some of the things which we can learn from the life of Swayambhuva Manu. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. Yes, please.
Like Prabhu, Swayambhuva Manu, lifespan is long. After his lifespan is exhausted, he'll fall like a demigod into earth, or that is the first question. Second question is, Manu gives a law for mankind.
Sorry?
Manu gives a law for mankind, human being.
What is the?
Manu Samhita he gives for. That is law, Prabhu. Manu gives a law for human being, mankind. So, in this earth, only specifically for human beings he gives, or for Bhumandala consists of many planets? It's for common for everyone.
Okay.
And third question is...
one by one. Let's go. I will not be able to remember. First question regarding what happens to Manu after his lifespan gets over. That depends upon his activities. If he has done devotional service like Swayambhuva Manu, he will go back to Godhead. If he has engaged in sense gratification, he will fall down. So our taking birth, our next birth, whether we take birth as human beings or as devatas or as animals, plants, trees, or we get liberated, whatever it is all dependent upon the activities that we do. Even in the case of Manu also, there is no standard fixed formula that he becomes Manu, then next life he has to fall down or he has to become a devata. No, there is no such binding. According to the activities which he does, he will determine his next life. It is as simple as that. Because Swayambhuva Manu was engaged constantly in the devotional service of Krishna, he must have elevated himself and gone back to Godhead. That's how we can understand. Is that clear? So second, as far as Manu is concerned, Manushya, all the human beings on this earthly planet are coming down from, are descendants of Manu. Therefore, we are called Manushya. The codes which are given by Manu in the Manu Samhita are meant for the humankind. And it is not meant for Devatas. Devatas are not ruled by Manu Samhita. So, Asuras are not ruled by Manu Samhita. They have other set of rules and regulations by which they have to conduct their lives. What is dharmic for the human beings may not be so in the Swargalokas. What is adharmic? For example, in this earthly planet, a prostitute, the profession of a prostitute, the vritti of a prostitute is considered a sinful one. And anyone who engages in that is actually incurring sinful reaction in the future. And it is looked down upon in the human society. Whereas if you look at the Swargaloka, What are the Apsaras? The Apsaras are society girls. They are glorified in the heavenly kingdoms because their rules are different. If the activities which are carried out by the Apsaras in the Swargalokas, somebody does in this earthly planet, such a woman will be called a prostitute. She will not be respected in the society. Whereas in Swargalokas, the rules are different. And so therefore, there the Apsaras are highly respected. So we have to understand that the laws of Manu Samhita which are given are meant for the humankind. It's not meant for other species. That's how we have to understand. Is that okay? What was the third question?
Third question is like yugas changes, no, prove Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. Is that each yuga Manu gives different laws or common for all the yugas?
Whether the laws of Manu are the same or changing from yuga to yuga. I think that we will have to take birth in the next yuga and find out. I have no idea. Maybe they change, maybe they don't. I don't know. But basically, the Manu Samhita also, the whole crux of Manu Samhita, the essence of Manu Samhita is built around, it is built around directing the human society towards progressively developing one's Krishna consciousness, to progressively elevate oneself from Tamoguna to Rajoguna to Sattva-guna and finally liberate oneself. That is the way it is designed. The way Manu Samhita is designed is such that by following that Manu Samhita, we will elevate ourselves into Sattva-guna and finally we can liberate ourselves. That's the whole goal of Manu Samhita. Manu Samhita, when people of the modern day world, when they look at Manu Samhita, they say there are so many discriminatory things. The lower caste people are discriminated against and upper caste people are given unnecessary privileges, etc. The reality is, when we assess Manu Samhita from the point of view of sense gratification, facilities for sense gratification, how much facility is given, whether the facility for sense gratification is equally distributed amongst all the people. That is the modern day society's interpretation of how the society should conduct itself. Everything should be assessed from the point of view of whether everybody has equal amount of opportunity for sense gratification. When they assess it from that perspective, they see that Manu Samhita has so many, biases against different kinds of people. But we have to look at it from a different lens. When you look at it from the lens of how opportunity is given for everyone to elevate themselves into Sattva-guna and to liberate from this material world, then you will see Manu Samhita in a completely different light. You won't see all this discrimination and all those kind of things. Everybody is given an opportunity to elevate himself. Somebody is a Shudra, he is also given an opportunity that he can also elevate himself to become a Brahmana and then finally to liberate himself. Everybody is given that opportunity. But if we look at it from the perspective of sense gratification, somebody is given more opportunity, somebody is given lesser opportunity. That is not the goal of Manu Samhita, to give equal opportunity for everyone to engage in sense gratification. It's a completely different paradigm in which Manu Samhita is given. So, that way, if you look at it, the essence of Manu Samhita, it will be the same in all the times. And the essence of Manu Samhita, how Manu Samhita aims to achieve this gradual progression in the increase of Sattva-guna in one's existence, is through the Varnashrama system. Because Varnashrama system is not coming from Manu, it is coming from Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita that Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam. Krishna has created Chaturvarna. The Varnashrama system is created by Krishna. So, Chatvaro Jijnare Ashramaihi Saha. So, all the 4 ashramas and 4 varnas are created by the Supreme Lord. So it is an eternal aspect of this material world, that always these 4 divisions will remain in the human society. Therefore, Manu Samhita will always revolve around Varnashrama system and the rules and regulations pertaining to those Varnashrama system, so that by following it we can elevate our consciousness. This is how it is designed. So practically, essentially, Manu Samhita from one Manu, from one Manvantara to another Manvantara, it will remain the same. It's not going to change. Essentially, details in the what do you say, in the nitty-gritties, there may be some changes. That is okay. That's according to time, place, and circumstance. Some adjustments have to be done. That's fine. But overall, if you see, essentially, they will all be the same. That's how we have to understand. Is that okay? Anybody else? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Like the material modes, if they act to the extent of deciding likes and dislikes of a living entity,
Yeah.
how a living entity can exercise its free will, Prabhu?
See, the free will of the jiva does not have absolute free will. That's a mistake we make whenever we speak of free will. We think that jiva has absolute free will. No. Prabhupada, you see, everywhere when Prabhupada talks about free will of the jiva, Prabhupada says the jiva has minute free will. It doesn't have absolute free will. What does that minute free will mean? That minute free will means the jiva has the free will to decide whether he wants to be under the control of Yogamaya or under the control of Mahamaya. Whether he wants to be a devotee of Krishna or he wants to be independent of Krishna. Actually, this is the basic free will that a jiva can undertake. The moment the jiva decides using his free will, what he wants to do with his life, whether he wants to serve Krishna, if he takes that decision, immediately he'll be put under the control of Yogamaya. And if he decides, no, I want to be independent of Krishna, then immediately he'll be put under the control of Mahamaya. So always the characteristic, the constitutional position of the jiva is to be under the control of one of these two. And the moment he comes under the influence, the control of Mahamaya, that means his free will is controlled by the three modes of material nature. According to within the material nature, his free will has to act within that. There is a boundary within which he has to act. And so therefore, suppose he is in Sattva-guna, the amount of free will he will have is much higher. When he is in Tamo-guna, he is completely driven by the senses of the body. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, these become the primary things in life. He does not know anything other than this. This is the sign of the mode of ignorance, Tamo-guna. When a person comes into Sattva-guna, he is not so much interested in eating, sleeping, mating and defending. He becomes interested in liberation. So, in Sattva-guna also, there are certain things which influence the likes, dislikes and decisions of the jiva. So, as long as one is not surrendered to Krishna, the control of Mahamaya will continue and his free will continue to be controlled by the three modes of material nature. So, the example given is just like there is a cow which is tied to a tree and there is grass all around. Now, the cow is tied to the tree with a 1 meter rope. So if there is a 1 meter rope, then within that 1 meter radius around the tree, the cow can eat any grass. But it has to be within that 1 meter radius. Now if you increase the length of the rope to 10 meters, then the cow's free will has increased. It can eat grass anywhere within a 10 meter radius, which is quite big compared to 1 meter radius. But still, it has to be within that 10 meter radius. So what happens is, if you give a choice to a person in Tamoguna, what do you want to drink? He will take only one decision. I want to drink whiskey. I want to drink alcohol. Now which whiskey you want to drink? You want to drink some foreign brand, or you want to drink some native naughty brand, or you want to drink, all his free will be within that. He has to choose within alcohol only, but within alcohol there are so many choices. So he gets a sense, he gets an illusion that I have free will. I can decide what I want. I can decide whether I want Johnny Walker, or I want a Kingfisher, or I want, I don't know what are all the brands. So all those brands I can decide which brand I want. So much choice, no? But actually speaking, he is tied by that rope of Tamoguna. He will decide only on that. You give him a choice, you want to drink alcohol or you want to drink milk. Milk, this is all for small children, yeah. Okay, for me, I want alcohol. This is the way he will think. And you give the same choice to a person in Sattva-guna, he will think, alcohol, who wants that? Give me milk. So he will like to drink milk, he will like to drink fruit juice. So he also has got his choice. Now whether to drink badam milk or to drink Horlicks milk or Bonvita milk, he can decide all those things. A person in Sattva-guna. So he also has an illusion that I've got free will. But that free will is again controlled by that mode of Sattva-guna. So that means we have minute free will. Within that influence of Rajoguna, Sattva-guna, Tamoguna also there is a little freedom which is given. But when we surrender to Krishna, when we become controlled by Yogamaya, then we become completely free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. So when we become completely free from the influence of modes of material nature, when somebody comes and asks us, what do you want to drink? I want to drink Krishna Prasadam. Whatever is offered to Krishna. Whether it is salt lemon juice or lassi or milk or whatever it is, I'll have only that. He'll bring in front of you a variety of choices. This milk, that milk, all those things. These are all bhoga. And one small simple glass of this one juice is there. What will you choose? You say, I don't want any of those things. Fancy things I don't want. I want only Krishna Prasadam. Over. So you immediately cross over even the mode of Sattva-guna. Even Sattva-guna you cross over. So that's how we have to understand that Jiva has actually only minute free will. It is not absolute free will that he can decide whatever he wants. His choice, when a devotee surrenders to Krishna, his choice will be decided by the influence of Yogamaya. So Yogamaya will not allow him to make a choice based on sense gratification. It will be based on Krishna's satisfaction. You understand? So therefore, Jiva never has absolute independence. His free will is not absolute. It is subject to the energy of Krishna under whose control he is. Whether he is under the control of Mahamaya, accordingly his free will have certain boundaries. If he is under the control of Yogamaya, it will have its boundaries. So always the free will of Jiva is controlled by either Yogamaya or Mahamaya. Jiva can never desire to possess free will beyond the control of both. Not possible. That is how we have to understand. Okay? Yeah, please.
Prabhu, what modes has to act, what combination they have to act, when they have to act on a particular living entity, does it controlled by super soul or something?
Super soul is only Anumanta Upadrashta. He is just witnessing and he is sanctioning. Sanctioning what? Okay, this Jiva has got a desire, let it be, let it happen in some future life. So basically the three modes of material nature, the influence of the three modes of material nature is decided upon by our karma. According to our karma, whatever activities we have done, if we have done a lot of punya karma, we will have more of sattva-guna. If we have done a lot of papa karma, we will be influenced more and more by tamoguna. That is how it is.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada tells the situation of Dhritarashtra. So he was in the miseries because of his past doing. So even though Lord Krishna was in front of him, but he was not willingly accept him or being favorable to the Lord. So how to understand this situation, Prabhu? Even the Lord is in front of him, but...
because he is not surrendered to Krishna. If you surrender to Krishna, then you can immediately understand Krishna. If you don't surrender to Krishna, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamiham. To the extent of surrender, Krishna reveals himself. Dhritarashtra refused to surrender to Krishna. So Krishna did not reveal himself. That's how we have to understand. You understand?
Okay.
Okay? Or something more?
No, bro.
Understood or still some doubt?
No, bro. Okay.
So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.